Most people believe that hard work will guarantee financial freedom, but the truth is, the more you grind, the further behind you may actually fall. While you're up at night crunching numbers and questioning every decision, someone just like you is thriving, sailing through life without the weight of financial worry. It feels unfair, right? You toe the line between survival and success, all the while watching others leap ahead as if there's a secret no one has shared with you. The harsh reality is that most of us are stuck in a cycle of scarcity, too afraid to break free. It's time to challenge everything you think you know about wealth and success. I'm Aria Vale, and this is The Wealth Shift. Every month, countless individuals run the same mental arithmetic, believing they're on the verge of a breakthrough. Yet, the reality is often starkly different. Most people are not simply managing their finances, they're navigating a complex web of obligations that dictate their decisions, often limiting their potential. The mortgage, car payments, insurance premiums, they form a silent yet powerful grip on your life. Consider this. The average monthly mortgage payment has reached staggering heights, and many households are effectively dedicating a significant portion of their income just to stay afloat. The numbers tell a sobering story. When you account for all living expenses, most individuals find themselves in a precarious position, with little left to invest in their future or pursue personal aspirations. This isn't an accident, it's a systemic issue. Take a moment to reflect on your own situation. You've likely been told that owning a home is a symbol of success. But what if that very home is the anchor weighing you down? For many, it's an undeniable truth. The more you invest in that mortgage, the less you have left for yourself. Every payment might feel like a step toward stability, but behind that facade lies an unyielding cycle of financial strain that rarely allows for respite. Now let's unpack what that means on a broader scale. When mortgage payments consume nearly half of your disposable income, it's a clear signal that you may be sacrificing your freedom for an illusion of security. This is not merely about finances, it's about life choices. The question looms, how many opportunities have you bypassed because of that relentless monthly obligation? How often have you hesitated to explore new career paths or pursue further education because your primary concern is meeting those mortgage payments? The implications are profound. Every decision is filtered through a lens of constraint. Imagine a professional contemplating a job offer that requires relocation, or a parent considering their child's extracurricular activities. Each choice is overwhelmed by the singular thought, can we still afford the mortgage? This kind of thinking transforms potential growth into stagnation, turning dreams into mere calculations of risk versus reward. Take the example of two households, one diligent and one carefree. Both have similar financial backgrounds, yet their paths diverge dramatically. One family is trapped in a cycle of payments, their aspirations overshadowed by their financial commitments. The other finds flexibility in their choices, leveraging their resources to seek opportunities that enrich their lives. The difference? It's not simply income, but the psychological barrier imposed by financial obligations. As you consider your future, recognize this. The mortgage doesn't simply dictate your monthly cash flow, it shapes your entire approach to life. It alters perceptions and fosters a mindset of scarcity, where every decision is weighed against that looming payment. You're not just calculating bills, you're navigating an entire philosophy of existence, one that prioritizes immediate needs over long-term aspirations. Now, let's address the common misconception that paying off a mortgage is the ultimate goal. While that may seem conventional wisdom, it's crucial to understand that the true value lies in the opportunities that arise once that weight is lifted. You might think of the mortgage as a necessary step towards financial independence, but in reality, it can often act as a barrier to achieving it. Once the mortgage is settled, the landscape shifts dramatically. You might discover that the decisions you make become exponentially more expansive. With no fixed obligations dragging you down, the freedom to invest in personal development, engage in side projects, or dedicate time to passions becomes a reality. The dynamic shifts from survival to growth, and it is within this new frame that potential flourishes. In practical terms, consider what happens when you eliminate that monthly mortgage payment. The financial landscape transforms, but how? The first step is understanding the ongoing costs that remain. Property taxes, insurance, maintenance, these still exist and should be part of the calculations. However, once you navigate these figures, the available cash flow becomes clearer. Suddenly, you have the opportunity to invest that money wisely. Imagine taking those funds and allocating them towards a diversified investment portfolio, such as an S&P 500 index fund. Historical averages suggest that this could yield significant returns over time. What once felt like a Sisyphean task becomes a strategic opportunity for wealth accumulation. In 5 years, you could be looking at a significant increase in your net worth, $146,000 or more. In 10 years, that figure could swell to $365,000. The longer you wait to make that shift, the more pronounced the benefits become. But here's the catch. The real challenge lies in shifting your mindset. The lingering belief that the house symbolizes stability must give way to the understanding that true stability comes from financial freedom. The shift from being beholden to a monthly payment to embracing the possibilities of investment propels individuals toward a more empowered existence. Let's not overlook the subtle complexities here. It's easy to dismiss the impact of a mortgage as a mere financial detail, yet it permeates every aspect of life. The psychological burden of constant financial calculations can lead to stress and anxiety, affecting personal relationships and overall well-being. Once you understand that this burden can be lifted, it becomes a powerful motivator to reevaluate your financial strategies. In closing, acknowledge that every payment, every decision, and every dream can be viewed through the lens of that mortgage. The choice is either to remain shackled to that perception or to actively seek alternatives that lead to a richer, more fulfilling existence. As you contemplate the future, consider the path that allows for greater flexibility and opportunity. The real wealth shift isn't just about numbers. It's about redefining what it means to live a life unencumbered by undue financial constraints. Many people view their mortgage as a mere financial obligation, but what if I told you it might be the very anchor holding you back from life's richer experiences? The notion that a mortgage is just a payment on a house schemes over its deeper implications. The truth is, it's not merely a debt, it's a contract that influences your life choices in profound and often invisible ways. Consider this. Every month, you allocate a significant chunk of your income toward that mortgage payment. But have you thought about what that means for your options? When you commit to a mortgage, you're not just securing a place to live, you're potentially sacrificing your freedom to explore new opportunities, to pivot in your career, or even to take calculated risks. The reality is, being tethered to a mortgage can create a rigidity in your life that often goes unnoticed until it's too late. Let's break this down further. Take, for example, a couple, Sarah and Jake. They've been chained to their mortgage for years, pouring money into a home that feels less like a sanctuary and more like a financial millstone. They long to travel, start a business, or even downsize to a simpler living situation. Yet, with each payment, they're reminded of their perceived obligations. They believe they need that steady paycheck to keep up with the mortgage, locking themselves into a routine that stifles ambition and curiosity. Now, let's introduce a crucial element, the psychological impact of debt. Research consistently shows that carrying debt can impair cognitive function. You're not just losing money, you're also losing clarity. Imagine trying to make a life-changing decision about your career while your mind is tangled in the web of monthly payments. The burden of that mortgage clouds judgment and leads to conservative choices that benefit the lender rather than you. Here's a fact worth considering. When people eliminate their debts, studies show that anxiety levels decrease significantly, often by more than 25 percentage points. It's not just about the money, it's about the freedom to think, create, and seize opportunities without the weight of financial worry. So, While you might believe that paying off your mortgage is just a financial strategy, it's also a critical step toward reclaiming your mental space. Consider the idea of survival cost. This isn't merely what you need to pay for food or rent. It encompasses all of your financial obligations. When your monthly survival cost is heavily influenced by a mortgage, that dictates not only how you spend your money, but how you spend your time and energy. It's a cycle where every decision becomes a calculation of whether you can cover that mortgage, often at the expense of pursuing what truly matters. As we delve deeper, let's explore a scenario where Sarah and Jake decide to pay off their mortgage early. They shift their mindset and the way they allocate their resources. With a new focus, they adjust their lifestyle, prioritize savings, and make sacrifices that, while uncomfortable, lead to liberating outcomes. Suddenly, the financial stress diminishes. Their monthly expenses drop, and with it, the pressure to maintain a status quo tied to their home. This leads us to a powerful realization: eliminating the mortgage can profoundly shift your financial landscape. Sarah and Jake find themselves with more disposable income, allowing them to invest in themselves, whether that's pursuing education, starting a side business, or traveling. They haven't magically increased their wealth. They've merely redefined their spending and investment strategies. The math simply changed, transforming their lives from a series of constrained choices to a canvas of possibilities. And let's be clear, the shift doesn't come without its challenges. The psychological burden of letting go can be daunting. You may feel that security is tied to your home, but the real security comes from your ability to respond to life's unpredictability without being beholden to a bank. The mortgage is not merely a financial product. It's a psychological contract that has implications far beyond the dollar signs. At this juncture, we should also address the common misconception that homeownership is synonymous with financial security. In reality, the opposite can be true. A high debt-to-asset ratio, common among homeowners, can lead to elevated stress levels, impacting both mental and physical health. The house that was supposed to be an asset may actually be a source of chronic pressure. Consider the suburban landscape where many people live in sizable homes, but a substantial percentage of them are house poor. They've traded their freedom for square footage, and each month, they hustle to meet payments, feeling trapped in a cycle they can't escape. Is that what you envision for your future? Here's something to ponder. What if Sarah and Jake had paid off that mortgage earlier? The psychological reprieve would be immediate. With mortgage payments gone, their freedom would allow them to explore career changes, take calculated risks, or simply enjoy life more. It's not about suddenly becoming wealthy. It's about having the capacity to make decisions that align with their true desires. As we navigate this conversation, it's essential to consider the broader implications of financial choices. Metrics like debt-to-income ratios and mortgage rates don't just determine your loan eligibility. They can shape the entire course of your life. The question is whether you will let them dictate your narrative or take control of your story. In a world where the default is to accept the mortgage as a necessary part of adulthood, you have the opportunity to challenge that norm. To step away from the conventional wisdom that equates homeownership with success, you must ask tougher questions about what truly matters to you. If you're resonating with this exploration, I encourage you to subscribe. You'll gain insights that challenge traditional financial wisdom and provide perspectives to unlock your potential. As we return to the Garcia family, they embody a broader truth. The moment they eliminate their mortgage, it's not just their finances that shift, their entire approach to life transforms. They're no longer making decisions through a filter of fear. They're empowered to pursue a life that aligns with their values and aspirations. Remember, the journey to financial independence isn't merely about accumulating wealth. It's about redefining what security means for you. It's about reshaping your choices and, ultimately, your future. The mortgage may seem like a boon, but it can also be a barrier. It's time to reconsider and reclaim what true wealth means to you. As we step back and evaluate the intricate web of choices we've woven around our finances, it's essential to confront an undeniable truth. The life you lead is often dictated by the debts you carry. Each monthly mortgage payment doesn't just represent a sum of money, it shapes your entire reality. It interferes with your decisions, pulls you into a rhythm that may not align with your true intentions, and limits your freedom in ways you might not even recognize. Many believe that homeownership is the ultimate achievement, a sign of success. However, it can equally serve as an anchor, weighing you down with responsibilities and expectations. The mortgage doesn't just demand a monthly payment, it demands your attention, your aspirations, and your peace of mind. You'll find yourself in a constant state of calculation, where each potential decision, whether to take a job that pays less but fulfills you or to pursue a passion project, must always factor in your mortgage obligations. That's not security, it's entrapment masked as stability. Consider the Garcias. After 2 decades of paying their mortgage, they reached a milestone. Yet, their experience was bittersweet. Freedom didn't come from a newfound wealth, but from the realization that their choices had been limited for far too long. They discovered that once the mortgage was lifted, clarity emerged. They could finally engage in pursuits that resonated with their values and aspirations. This isn't an isolated story. It's a pattern reflected in countless lives. When the burden of debt fades, so too does the hesitation to live authentically. The truth is, for many, the mortgage represents not just a bill but a silent permission slip they must check off before living life on their own terms. Want to change jobs? You check the mortgage payment. Think about traveling or pursuing education. The mortgage looms large. We often hear that financial freedom comes from financial literacy, but it also arises from the liberation of our decisions. It's not just about the numbers. It's about the choices those numbers allow. Every extra dollar saved is not just more for retirement, it's potential freedom from the constraints of living paycheck to paycheck. Ask yourself, what do you want the finish line to be? The path isn't about hoarding wealth, but understanding the value of your decisions, recognizing the true cost of your commitments, and reshaping them to align with your desired life. The clarity of financial independence can be liberating, allowing you to navigate life with intention rather than obligation. In this journey towards redefining security, remember that it isn't the house itself that holds value, but the life you choose to build around it. Your decisions matter, and they shape the future you desire. The truth is simple. Freeing yourself from debt is not just a financial act, it's an act of self-liberation. This is Aria Vale, and this is The Wealth Shift.